Hello, my friends. Hello. Welcome back. We got another episode today. Guardians Daily for you. Nice Thursday episode. We got a little bit of an off day today. Off day for your Guardians, a travel day, as they like to call it in the league. And we're coming off a nice win yesterday against the Tampa Bay Rays. Obviously, series didn't go exactly how any of us really wanted it to. Obviously, losing the first two, definitely in close fashion as well, almost makes it more frustrating. But they were in both those games. The pitching was great all series, and it continued yesterday with Gavin Williams on the mound. He was absolutely lights out. He's just been fantastic this season. And every time he's on the mound so far right now, like you just know you're going to get a great performance out of Gav. Even last start where he got a little bit hit up, it still hasn't been anything major. He's been one of the best pitchers in baseball, one of the best strikeout pitchers in baseball. Obviously, yesterday, I think the biggest thing to see from Gav in terms of development and where he's even getting better at some of these things, no walks. 0 walks yesterday, almost got through 8 innings. Obviously, I think he almost would have had a complete game if Bazzana didn't make that brutal error on the play. That would have been a double play. That would have saved him about 15 pitches on that pitch count because he had to let him work through the rest of that inning and get the outs naturally. Obviously, that gave up an unearned run as well. That gave up the shutout. Bazzana, whatever. In terms of that play, it's just one play that you can't happen, but it happened and it's over. You won the game. Keep it moving. Errors are part of the game. So not too crazy there. Obviously, that'll be one I'm sure on social media and stuff when there's this discourse about these young players like McGonigal and Detroit and all these other guys from that draft. I'm sure they're going to bring up that Bazzana error as the clip to show how good he has been and those kind of arguments. But not really a big deal. Made a simple mistake. It was a bad mistake. It was an ugly error, but so be it. But I think that cost Gavin the chance to actually go a couple. I think he was going to have a complete game shutout right there. I mean, the way he was rolling, they could not hit him. Honestly, Tampa Bay offense couldn't do much against our pitching staff all week, and that's what makes it so frustrating. You only win one of these games, but hey, it's better than losing all three, especially since this position they were in heading into yesterday's game. A little bit of a rain delay. The weather in Cleveland was Clevelanding. So we had a little bit of a slow start there. I think it was almost 2 hour delay, hour and a half delay in getting first pitch there. I'm sure that wonder if that affected travel, but I'm sure they fly out last night for Sacramento, I guess. Now not Oakland anymore with the Athletics. We'll get to that trip in a little bit. But big time Gavin Williams performance and just hard to overstate how good this rotation has been, and it starts at the top with Gavin. You know, Tanner Bivey's been better his last two starts. I'd like to give Tanner credit, especially a guy I've been hard on. Gavin's just been lights out. Obviously, Messick as well. Like Gavin and Messick are two of the best pitchers in baseball in almost all the metrics so far this season. And honestly, I think if this offense got to pick it up in terms of we have a chance here with this team to have a really strong season and a really good record with the way the pitching staff's been. If they're going to pitch like this, you have these opportunities. You're going to have chances in all these games. You got to find a way. Obviously, I think that is a big reason why the Bazzana move was made this early. You know, I don't think this is something they really planned to do. If you ask them in spring training what their plan was with Bazzana, I don't think they foresaw it being this early. Maybe they did, but I still see it's out of the norm for how they've been in the past with these top prospects. We've seen them be so patient, almost overly patient with some you've seen, and it feels that way. But so they made the move early, and I think that's because of how good this rotation is. I think it all kind of goes hand in hand for this baseball team. The pitching's been so good, and there's so much that's just going to give you so many opportunities in these games that I think they really realize they need to give them some run support. And they think Bazzana can be a guy to help that. Obviously, hasn't gotten that first big hit yet. Everyone thought he hit one out yesterday, but the weather was not cooperating. But he hit one 102 off the bat. He certainly looked like he thought he got it. He seemed pumped up when it was off his bat. And he was heading to first, but obviously just came up short at the warning track. And that's going to happen, especially when you play some of these early season games in Cleveland. The weather does not help the ball get out of the park. So no biggie there, but I think we'll figure out things with Bazzana as we go. He just played his first couple games, so not the end of the world there. But Want to talk a little bit more about Gavin and what his I mean, I think Gavin Williams is right there for Cy Young this year. I don't see any reason Gavin Williams is not in this mix for Cy Young. You know what I mean? Like since the end of last season, that last month or so, maybe a little more of last season, put those numbers together with him where he's been to start this year. I don't think there's a better pitcher in baseball, better starting pitcher at least. Maybe Mason Miller has an argument out of the pen. He's been putting up some ridiculous numbers. Obviously, in San Diego, they made that big trade. Thanks a lot, Emmanuel Clase, or else we would have gotten all the pieces they got in return for that. But I'm sure San Diego's glad it worked out because Mason Miller didn't gamble in any games so far, to our knowledge. So probably worked out well for them. But we're stuck with Clase and Ortiz in prison somewhere. But yeah, this team, that's a big win yesterday. I think they needed that. I think it sets off a nice tone. I mean, they lost 6 out of 8. They were kind of scuffling, and really all of that was coming from issues at the plate. Obviously, there had been some shaky starts. Obviously, Cicconi's been a problem in this rotation. We'll see him soon enough this weekend. But man, it's hard to get it's hard to get down on this team when you know the rotation has this kind of stuff. I think when with Gavin Williams is going to give you at that front end, we've seen how good I mean, 1-5 because the way it lines up right now, I guess you could say Bibee, but he's not your ace. It's Gavin Williams. But then the way it's listed, you have Parker Messick in the 5 slot. That's a great start and finish to a rotation. Messick's been so good this season, and he's a rookie as well. I think he's actually overtaken the guy we're about to talk about next in Chase DeLauter for that Rookie of the Year spot. I think he's the leader in the clubhouse, probably in baseball and also for the Cleveland Guardians. But don't count out Chase DeLauter. He had a nice series, and he needed it. Well-timed series against the Rays. Really had at least looked comfortable at the plate. Even in his game 1, I think he was 1 for 5. I think he had 3 balls hit on the screws, just kind of getting ran down right at guys. It was just kind of a tough break day at the plate for DeLauter. And he's had a lot of that lately, where he's been hitting the ball hard, putting together quality at bats, and has just not quite been rewarded. But that's baseball. That comes with the territory, for DeLauter. So I'm curious, where do we go from here with DeLauter in terms of expectations? I think, obviously, he's locked in your number 2 spot. I think there's a chance that it could make sense for this team. Kyle Manzardo can't hit. He can't hit right now. He cannot do anything at the plate right now. And I like Kyle Manzardo. I like Zardo. I don't know if everyone calls him Zoe. That doesn't really fit. I like Manzardo. Liked him a lot last year. He cannot hit the baseball currently. That's not. I'm not saying it long term. I mean, who knows? I hope he turns it around. Currently, not a good. It is not a good. Not good for Manzardo. I don't know what that voice was. It's just bad at the plate, and you can't keep throwing him out there in this cleanup spot. I just don't get it. So maybe DeLauter gets that chance to move down from 2 to 4. And then maybe you take Bazzana, you slide him up there, or you slide Angel Martinez. I think Martinez is probably the best bet right now. And if Kwan's been better the last couple of days, we talked a lot about Kwan and these struggles. Had a double yesterday, had some good things on the base path, drew a walk. Maybe Stephen Kwan's starting to find it around. I don't know about that yet, but I'd love to see it because I think it changes the entire complexion of this lineup. So we need to see if that's going to be the case with Kwan, then that frees up everything. But I think DeLauter eventually, at some point within this next couple weeks, has to drop down near that 4 spot. You slide Bazzana or Angel based on what you want and how you're feeling into that 2 spot. And then that really frees up the middle of that lineup. I think it gives Jose some much needed protection because Manzardo is not a threat right now. And teams are pitching to Jose as such in these big situations, which in general, Jose is going to get given a lot of free passes and get pitched around. He's earned it. He's that good of a player. But I think they're a little less scared to do that if you have DeLauter back there behind him, who's been starting to hit the ball like he was at the beginning of the year. Obviously, the home runs haven't come back quite as much as they were. Obviously, 5 home runs within that first week or so. Hasn't hit one since. That's okay. That's not that big of a deal. He's going to get his long balls. It's still early in the season. The weather still hasn't been great in a lot of these places we're playing. Ball's not carrying. He's hitting the ball hard and he's working some great at bats. He's not chasing as much as he was the past couple weeks. The chases started coming. Those strikeouts started to come in much better this series against Tampa Bay. So lots of things to like with DeLauder at the plate right now. Waiting to see if they make a move somewhere at the top of that lineup. So, what are the expectations for this team going on to this, I guess, road trip, but also they have a day off here? What kind of team are we going to see Friday night against the Athletics? You're coming off a pretty rough skid. The schedule's been really tough to start the season. The Athletics are actually a pretty good team this year, which is surprising considering their past. We'll get to them in a second, but obviously they have Nick Kurtz, they have Jacob Wilson, the shortstop, they have Soderstrom, they have Shane Laylers, the catcher. They have a lot of good things in this Oakland. I guess we can call I can call it Oakland if I want because they don't even know what they're called. They could be Sacramento. They're just the Athletics, so the A's, whatever. We'll get to them in a second anyway. I'm getting ahead of myself because Oakland should still have a team, at least in one of the sports. They had 3 4 years ago, 5 years ago. They had 3 teams. They have none now. That's my nightmare. First off, if that happened to me, I don't know. I would just be pissed. I don't. I don't know. I don't know if there's really a. If that happens, I'm doing it, but I wouldn't be very happy. This is what you care about as a sports fan. You get into these things. You become passionate. Imagine being an Oakland fan. I don't care if it's the next segment. We'll talk about it now. It's my show. It's Oakland fan. You have Oakland Athletics, Oakland Raiders, Golden State Warriors, and the Golden State Warriors count. They played in Oakland, the Bay Area. They were the Golden State Warriors, but they were Oakland. They're all gone. It's a travesty, and it's a joke that was allowed to happen. Because who cares in Vegas? I can't imagine there's any diehard Vegas Raiders fans. I don't know if the Athletics are going to go to Vegas. It seems like they will. You know, Golden State already went down to San Francisco. The Golden State one I get. There was reasons there it made sense, and they never officially even said Oakland in the name, but they were Oakland, and they were awesome when they were there. They at Oracle. Those teams were unreal. So now you look at Oakland, they have nothing left there. Sorry, that was just a little rant, but that grinds my gears, as people like to say. So that part's frustrating for all those Oakland fans. But I'm sure they're still watching this Sacramento A's or whatever they want to call them. Well, we play them this weekend. We got to go to their park. That's not really a park. And then again, the Coliseum wasn't much either. So I won't act like they've really downgraded much in terms of ballpark. But this team, where do we go? And I don't know if there is an answer right now in terms of what our expectations. We got this road trip coming up. What do you expect for this road trip? You got to go Oakland, Oakland. You got to go to the A's, and then you got Kansas City on the road as well. Who's been scuffling but kind of coming back to life a little bit lately. Who knows? They had high hopes this year. Kansas City's kind of been what Kansas City's been over this last 5 years, even though Bobby Witt's awesome and Salvador Perez is still Salvador Perez, still doing it. Good for him. Always like Salvi, even though don't like him because he's in the division, but respect the guy. So where does this team go right now? Is there any moves to be made with this lineup? I think so. I would be shocked if there's not something done in the middle of this order. I know we kind of just went on that with the CDL stuff, but if it's not DeLauder, is it Schneeman? Is it Martinez? Is it something? There's got to be a way to get some more juice in the middle of this lineup with the options we have. Obviously, George Valera been a bit of a disappointment lately after the really strong end to his season last year. Obviously, it was just his debut. He's still technically a rookie too. A bunch of these guys who we saw last year are still rookies. So we got these guys where you really don't know what they fully are. Like even Manzardo, that was technically his rookie year last year, even though it feels like he's been here for 4. You know, so we have all these guys who we've seen glimpses and pieces of, but really haven't seen for a full 162 to get a full judgment on. And even that, it still takes more than one season to get a full. We're still trying to figure out what Bo Naylor is. I think it's the result we found is negative more than positive. We thought I was really hoping Bo was just going to be what he was that last month of the season last year, where he was RBI guy hitting in the 5 spot and hitting and deserving to be there. He's a shell of that player at the plate right now. I'm actually done with. Actually, I'm glad I brought that Bo popped in because I'm done with Bo Naylor. Sorry. And I don't know, it's Cooper Ingle time. Do we just buy in right now? We go to Lauder, Bazana, Ingle, get them all up here right now? Maybe. If not, just go with Hedges. Give me more Hedges. Hedges has been good enough. He's been better than Bo at the plate, which is crazy, but he has been. Says more about who? Who knows? Probably more about Bo. But Hedges, no, I mean, I'm not saying numbers, but I'm just saying look, feel at the plate too. Bo bad. Bo bad. Bo bad right now. So I don't know what we do with Bo, but that's a black hole in the lineup. And then I think I don't know, man. There's just nothing there with Manzardo, Hoskins, and Naylor right now. They're giving you nothing at the plate. Rocchio's been fantastic. Love what you're getting out of the 9 spot with Rocchio. Schneeman's been great, playing all over the field. Play wherever you need him. He's been great. Angel, great. So you got there's guys playing good baseball. It's not like this isn't all systems go. This team's right at 500. This isn't a bad. This is a good baseball team with an excellent rotation and some really good players. But top 1 through 9, there's just holes, and they're holes that can be fixed by the guys on this team. Like it doesn't necessarily have to be going out and making acquisitions because they don't want to do that anyway. They're not spending money, which is fine. We know it is what it is. We've been there. It's been 20, 30 years. Like we know what they're not going to spend. So it's got to come from within. Which one of these guys is going to step up? Is it going to be Valera, who's we've seen flashes? Is it going to be Manzardo? Does he get back to being that power threat at least? I don't care how often he strikes out if he starts hitting home runs again. I really don't. But he's not. So that is nothing right now. Manzardo's giving you nothing. Been better at first base than I thought. Give him that. That's actually probably the nicest thing I can say with Manzardo right now. Playing a fine first base. Doesn't look that lost at first base for what that was supposed to be his knock. So man, this guy crushes the ball. Can't play at first really. I like that better. I like that better than I like. Hey, this guy can't hit right now at all, but he's not bad at first. That's kind of where we are, and that's frustrating. So is Reese Hoskins gonna turn back the clock a little bit? I don't see that. His at bats have been atrocious, and that's a guy I was really pumped about. I thought he was gonna be perfect for what they need. Maybe he's doing it in the clubhouse, but he's not doing it at the plate. So a lot of things to be negative about in this lineup, but a lot of things to be positive about, obviously. And we're right at 500, and we go on this road trip right now, heading out west. We got Nick Kurtz is probably the top guy for the Athletics. He's a stud, obviously from that Bazana draft. So that's going to be Bazana and Nick in the same ballpark playing against each other. That'll be fun. That's an exciting story. A lot of good young players in that Athletics system. So gonna be a fun series. We're gonna have a full series and weekend preview for you tomorrow's episode. So stay tuned for that. But right now, enjoy your day off. Cavs pulled off a win last night. Didn't really deserve it, but they got it, and a win's a win. And in the playoffs, you don't apologize for it. So we got that going. We got a Thursday night. Maybe there's. What are you looking for tonight? If there's no cards, there's NBA. There's a bunch of game sixes in the NBA basketball, NBA playoffs. That's about what you got. If you want to go find some baseball games, I'm sure you can find them. So you got options tonight. Enjoy your night off of Guardians baseball. Right back at it Friday night against the Sacramento. Who knows? Who knows what we're gonna call them? The Athletics. We'll see them tomorrow night. And from that, until then, see you tomorrow. I appreciate you spending the time, and go Guardians.